Okay, let's go ahead and do some interesting math. As you may be aware, there are several different ways to measure the temperature. There is Fahrenheit and there is Celsius. Now, the formula to convert Celsius into Fahrenheit is to take the degrees Celsius, multiply it by 1.8, and then add 32. We'll start by putting the P keyword in our code in order to make sure that our results display in the terminal, but you already know that. We're then going to take an example of 10 degrees Celsius. We'll multiply it by 1.8 and add 32, as is the formula. If we then hit the play button, we can see that we get the result of 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So 10 degrees Celsius is the equivalent of 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If we then wanted to convert, say, 20 degrees Celsius, we'd simply take this number, make it into a 20, and then apply the multiplying by 1.8 and adding 32 formula. We'll then hit the play button, and we can see that 20 degrees Celsius is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll notice that in our terminal, the 68 is not simply displayed as 68, but it's 68.0. The reason we have the decimal point there is because since we introduced a decimal point in our code, namely with the 1.8, Ruby then also includes a decimal point in the result as well, even though it is 0.0. Now let's go the other way. The formula to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius is to take the degrees Fahrenheit, subtract 32, and multiply by 0.5556. So let's clear our code. And we're going to start with an example of converting 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to print the result of 70 degrees, subtract 32, and then multiply 0.5556. And we're going to hit play. Well, that's not what we expected. Instead, we got an error message. Let's examine the error message. As you can see, the error is taking place on line number 1, and the error is no point digit floating literal anymore, put 0 before dot, syntax error unexpected dot. Now, admittedly, the clarity of this message leaves quite a bit to be desired, but there is a hint here of put 0 before dot. And this is a simple rule of Ruby that when using a decimal point, if there is nothing before the decimal point, you must put a 0. That is simply the way Ruby works. So let's go ahead and put the 0.5556 and then hit the play button. Now we get our result of 52.2208, meaning that 70 degrees Fahrenheit translates into 52.2208 Celsius. Now the truth is that this is inaccurate, and that is because we have not taken into account the mathematical order of operations. This is not very complex, but this is a simple rule of math that when taking a formula with multiple operations, such as ours where we have a subtraction and a multiplication in one line, math dictates that we first calculate the multiplication and then we take care of the subtraction. So what Ruby is calculating here is it is first multiplying 32 times 0.5556, and then it is subtracting that result from 70. But that's actually not what we want, because the formula for converting from Fahrenheit into Celsius is actually first we subtract 32, and only then are you going to multiply 0.5556 by the result of that. In order to deal with this, we simply add parentheses. This is what you do in math, and it's also what you do in Ruby. So we add parentheses around the 70 minus 32. And this ensures that that gets calculated first. That is, Ruby first calculates 70 minus 32, and then takes that result and multiplies it by 0.5556. If we now hit the play button here, we'll see we get a totally different result of 21.1128, and that is the accurate answer. So 70 degrees Fahrenheit is in actuality 21.1128 degrees Celsius. So the key lesson of this is to pay attention to your order of operations, and that you can handle the orders of operations using parentheses just like as you can in regular good old math.